Hi everyone, welcome to the host code. I am your Prakash. Today's LeetCode question is finding base with a certain sum. That's a great question with a mixture of data structures, real-time updates, and the queries. So in this question, we will be given two lists. One is nums1 and one is nums2. Here we have to implement two functions. One is called add function and other is called count function. Add function is used to add a given value in the given index of the second list, whereas count function is used to find the number of pairs I and j such that nums1 of I plus nums2 of j will be equal to the given target value. Here we will be given a target value. We should check the pair where nums of I plus nums of j will be equal to the target. Now let's proceed with an example. Here in the input we have given the class names and the respective numbers into the functions. So here in the first example, find some pairs is a function that has been called with the two lists. And then we are having a function called count being called with a given target. Similarly, a add function is given with an value and index of where nums of 2 will be added. Now let me explain with a clear example. Here first we are going to initialize the find some pairs class with two lists, one of them being named as nums1 and one of them being named as nums2. Here the first function we used in the example is count7. Here we need to find the number of pairs between the nums of nums1 and nums2, which can give us the value 7 when they have sum of two numbers that are 2 plus 5 will give us 7. 2 plus 5 will give us 7. So here is 2, here is 5, here is 2, here is 5. Similarly, we have two more 2's in it. So total we are going to have 6 2 5 combinations. And when we are going to the last number 3, 3 plus 4 will give us 7. And we have another 4, 3 plus 4 will give us 7. So these are two other combinations. Total 6 plus 2 equals to 8. That should be the result of the count 7. And then we have other function called add 3 of 2, where we are going to take nums of 2. 3 is the index. We are going to check the value in the nums of 2 of 3 index. At the third index we have the number 2, to which we are going to add the value 2. So 2 will become 4 because 2 plus 2 equal to 4. And after adding that, the list changes to this 1 4 5 4 5 4. Then we are going to call other function count of 8. Here we should return the number of pairs which has a combination of sum equal to 8. Here we are going to have 3 and 5 and 3 and 5. Let's check it. Here we have 3 plus 5 once, and then 3 plus 5 second time. So we are going to have two pairs for it. Now let's go into the problem state to code. So we have the class name called find some pairs. We have init function which is triggered when we call this find some pairs input class. So we are going to get two lists, nums1 and nums2. We should store it in our class so we can use it in other methods. We should always use self dot to have that object used in the other functions inside the class. Let me initialize with my nums1, that will be equal to nums of 1. Similarly, self dot my nums2 equal to nums2. Then here we should add an add function. Will be given an index and the value. At the nums, using the nums2, we should take the index and update the number into that index. Let's go ahead and add it. We should call our nums2, which is my nums2. We should always use self when we are using a class variable. The index will be index itself, and we are going to update it with the value which they have given. Now let's go into the third function, which is a count function. So here let's go and take a variable name count equal to 0. So let's iterate to the first loop for I in self dot my nums of 1. Then after let's iterate to the other loop, which will be the self called my nums of 2. It is a basic brute force approach which may lead us to the time limit exited TLS. So we are going to have, let's use I plus j equal to TOT, which is our given target. If the sum is equal to the given target, we are going to increase our count. My bad. It should be colon since I am using Python. Let's return the answer. Yeah, we got everything fine. Let me submit it and see whether we can have this brute force approach or we need to use an optimized approach. Since we have constraints of 10 to the power of 5, it will definitely lead us to the time limit exited. Let's see. Yeah, it led us to the time limit exited. So right now we should go with an optimized approach. Let's move into the optimized approach. So in the optimized approach, let's use counter, which will help us to have the count of the nums of 2 already in an array. So we can iterate through it and get our count value. So let's have other thing called counter, for which we need to import a class called counter from collections. Now we use the counter function of nums of 2, which will be it can be both. That will be not an issue because same or both are same. Let me show how the counter will return. It will return our frequency in the format of, let's take this example. Here we have how many number of ones? We have only one number of 1, so it will have one number of 1. Then how many number of 2's we have? We have only one number of 2. It is same as dictionary, but here counter will automatically count the number of times it has been repeated. So what is the number of 4 and 5? It is 2 and 2. Since they are 2 and 2, it will store it in the top. The highest count will be always stored in the top. So this is the structure in the frequency. So we can use that to get our count instead of going into the list and checking again and again. We need to also increase the count whenever we add. So this method will work, but we should add and subtract the index values whenever we are updating the number. So first we need to remove the decrement the existing one in the frequency, right? It should be self dot, since we are inside the class. It will be index. Since the index will be updated, we are going to decrease it once. Then we are going to update our value as same as a brute force. Then once updated, the value should be inside the frequency. So we are again going to increment the value right now. So it should be +1. Don't be confused here. First we are going to decrement the existing frequency of that number, because we are going to update that number. The count will be decreased. So after we have updated the value, for suppose we are going to use it here in the add function, here we are going to add 3 of 2. So the new number will be 4. So the 4 in the frequency count should be 3, since we have updated our value, right? And before 4 we have the 2. So 2 equals to 1, it should be removed, means it will be minused by 1, it will be of 0. Here we are going to use frequency counter to have it efficiently instead of counting inside this loop. Let's change this logic to use our count frequency, which will help us in getting the values easily. So now we can just remove the second loop, and instead we can add the count here, equal to count plus, the logic should be count plus of self dot frequency of total, sorry, it is the target, and minus x, or minus I, that's we are taking I. So if the target is 8, we are going to minus an value which will be of, if we are going with this, we will be minusing 8 with 1 which will be of 7. We are going to check the frequency of 7 in the array list. We don't have any. Similarly, we are going with the next number, that is 2. 2 minus of 7 will give us 5. We are going into it and checking how many 5s are there. There are 2 5s. So we are adding the count. Similarly, the loop will be repeated throughout for nums of 1. It will be sufficient, since nums of 1 will have only less than or equal to 1000 numbers. And we use frequency to get the values for nums of 2. This will be the optimized approach. Let's run it. Yeah, let's submit it and see whether we are able to submit it or not, or we are going to get TLE. Yeah, everything is fine. So the optimized approach uses order of nums of 1 length plus nums of 2 length in this initialization, and in the add function it is going to be the order of 1, and in the count function it is going to be the order of nums of 1 length, because we are going to repeat it throughout the loop. And in the brute force approach, we are using order of nums of 1 plus order of nums of 2 length, which is going to lead us clearly. So this approach is one of the best approach for solving this question. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe to the postcode. Let me know in the comments if you have any doubts.